Welcome to Well Rounded. I'm your host, Tiffany Parker. Hello everybody, welcome back and happy Wednesday. I just have to say thank you so much to everyone who listened to and watched on YouTube the last week's episode with Addie, my nail tech. She's amazing. She did such a good job. And I hope that moms everywhere felt validated and did not feel alone, and that other small business men and women felt inspired and things like that. She's so nice for doing that. And I had a blast. So I think she's gonna need to come back on the podcast. And I love, she's like, when am I coming back? So it's super great. I love it. So thank you so much. Today is just gonna be a little me as I prepare for the next couple guests that I plan on having on. I'm super excited about one that's coming up. And yeah, so it's just going to be a little bit of a smorgasbord, just things on my mind, things I have been asked about, and stuff like that. But first, holy crap, you guys. I'm getting my hormones tested, and you have to get blood work done for that. Well, your girl hates needles and never gives blood. I told my family, I'm like, one of you has to be dying in order for me to give you my blood. And that might sound really selfish, but my blood type is not unique. It's not rare. It's not special. Like, I think half of my family has that same blood type. But let me just lay down the situation that happened, because I'm both embarrassed by it, but I'm also shocked. Like, I'm almost impressed, but also not. So, you have to go get your blood work done, and I'm doing it through this like random lab company thing. And then someone's gonna like look at my work and, kind of explain it to me and like what we're seeing what the issue is, you know, because the female body is a wonderland of chaos. So I go in, and I hate needles, right? But I did Accutane, and so on Accutane you have to get your blood drawn every month. I don't know if that's just like a women thing, because like you're not supposed to get pregnant while on Accutane. It's really, really dangerous. The drug is just kind of sketchy all around. But I had to get my blood drawn every month just for like a test, but it was like a quickie little thing. And so this woman, she was like so deadpan. She looked so bored and so tired or whatever. And she was like, yeah, we need about 5 tubes. I was like, 5 tubes? Are you sure? She's like, yeah, that's pretty standard. I was like, oh, okay, in my mind. And so anyways, so leading up to this, I'm giving myself like a mental pep talk. Yeah, because I'm pretty good at controlling my mind, and I do very strongly believe in the power of the mind and mind over matter, right? Let me tell you though, when she stuck it in, my body, independent of my mind, went in fight or flight mode. And it was the most surreal thing that has ever happened to me. And so I haven't given my blood very often, and this is the first time it's happened to this extent. I did get the COVID vaccine a long time ago. I got the Johnson & Johnson one. And then 3 days later, they're like, this one's being recalled. I was like, cool, great. And so like that happened then, but I was kind of expecting that because they're like putting something in your body, you know? Sorry, if you're watching a YouTube video, my hair is like sticking to my face. It's driving me nuts. What was I saying? Yeah, they like, cause they're injecting something into your body. And so that I understand, but like pulling it out, I don't know. So anyways, what happened is she stuck it in my arm, and like that actually doesn't hurt that bad. It kind of reminds me of getting my ears pierced. It like hurt for a little bit and kind of stung for a little bit, and then went away. But let me tell you, my heart rate skyrocketed so fast. I got immediately super duper hot, kind of sweaty, like sweat was dripping down my forehead. I was wearing sandals that had like the 2 straps. They're kind of like Birkenstocks. They look like Birkenstocks, but they're not the brand. And so like my feet under the top straps like were sweaty, and my feet don't get warm ever. I have the worst circulation known to mankind, but like it was like a sheen of sweat under those sandals. Like when I got to my car, I had to put cold air on my feet because I was like, it's not going away. And so yeah, I was like dripping sweat from my forehead. And to put in perspective, like in order for me to sweat that much, I need to be working out very hard at the gym. Like I don't run hot. I'm not a hot person. That sounds really sad. I don't run very hot though. And I have to like be working hard at the gym or like doing something like that in order to sweat a lot. It was dripping down my forehead. Dripping, I say. Okay, and then my vision started to go a little dark, a little fuzzy. I didn't completely black out, but like I had to like constantly kind of adjust my eyes and like, whoo. And here's the thing, mentally, I was like, fine. I was like, this is not a big deal. Like that didn't hurt very much because it didn't. It genuinely did not. And I was like prepared. I was like, okay, here we go. My body just, nope. And so then let's see what else happened. I got, cause this was all yesterday. This was on Monday. I then like my fingers, my hands and my feet started tingling, because the way that she described it is that all of your blood is rushing to protect your vital organs. And so like I couldn't really like feel my hands or my feet. They were like really tingly. I can like still kind of feel it a little bit. And yeah, and then it was just, I was just so hot. I got a little bit nauseous, but I was able to kind of control that. I feel like if I had let myself, I could have thrown up. I also hadn't eaten anything all day, intentionally so. I think I was supposed to do this fasted. And I'm glad I did, because that just, based on how my body reacted, that felt like the right move. And yeah, and it lasted for such a long time. And I'm not talking about like while the needle was in my arm. It was after she took it out, because it actually went really fast. So to get the 5 tubes, I didn't watch, because I can't even watch that stuff in like movies or TV shows or anything like that. So I didn't look or anything, but yeah, I think she just had a bunch of vials that were connected to the needle or something, because I could feel her switching out tubes and stuff, but she didn't have to like re-stick my arm over and over again. Sorry, I should have done a trigger warning for needle talk. So, it's a little late now because I'm kind of at the end of the story. But anyways, yeah, so then she pulls it out, and then like my vision started to go black, like more black than it was. And I was like, oh boy. And so then, they got me an ice pack, and then they got me some water. And it was very bizarre. It was a very unsettling feeling. Again, my conscious mind was just fine. And the getting stuck part actually didn't hurt very much. So, and like, I'm not a wuss, despite what it sounds like, but yeah, it's called the vasovagal response. And, it sucks. And it lasted so long. It felt like 30 minutes. It was not that long. But like, it felt like a really long time. And then finally I was like, I think I'm good now. And she's like, you sure? I was like, yes. So anyways, that's my fun blood work story. And that's how desperate I am to see what's going on with my hormones and my body. Because I am trying to lose weight, and I'm not ashamed of that. I think we need to demystify like wanting to lose weight. I feel like maybe the tides are shifting where that's not something to be judgy about anymore. I remember, the good Lord did not bless me with a fast metabolism. And so I feel like for a large portion of my life, I've been trying to lose weight. And I remember people would get like angry at me for like saying I wanted to lose weight. And it's just a little weird to me, because like, here's the thing, I'm not healthy. Like, I'm not at a healthy weight right now. And I'm doing a lot of good things, but it's like really not changing. So I know something's off, because I know my body well, and most women know when something's off with their own body. So, so that's why I was getting that done. And I had to share that horrible experience. And I told the lady, I was like, if I did not need to get my hormones tested, I would not be here. Because this is horrible and it's really embarrassing. She's like, happens more often than you think. I was like, not to me. I am better than this. Apparently I'm not. Apparently I am not. So that's really, really fun. So anyways, that's my blood work story. So if that's ever happened to you, know that you're not alone. Yeah, it was horrible. And now my arm was kind of sore the rest of the day and I kind of have a bruise. And it's kind of gross to look at. So, anyways, my decision to not go into medicine was wise. Was a very wise and inspired path for me. Okay, let's move on to something else. Okay. Very important item of business that I need everyone to care about as much as I do. Kelly Clarkson is releasing a new Christmas song on Friday. And I am so excited because her Christmas album, several of her Christmas albums are amazing. Like her Wrapped in Red Christmas album, I think, is like a handful of the songs on there are like a couple, at least one or two songs below All I Want for Christmas Is You, which is big time because All I Want for Christmas, Mariah Carey song, right, is usually number one, has been number one for like decades. Kelly Clarkson has a couple songs that are either the second or third most played Christmas songs, which is a big deal, and I don't feel like people are talking about it enough, okay? And that is upsetting to me because that's really impressive. That's really impressive. But yeah, so excited. It's called, I didn't write it down, Christmas for You, I think. You for Christmas. That's what it is. So very excited. We're getting a Christmas song in September. People are joining the ranks of Christmas early, baby. Oh, I'm so excited. I've been debating putting up my Christmas tree and all of my decorations extra early because usually I do them at the end of October, like the last couple days of October, but I'm gonna be like right in the middle of Tech Week for a musical at BYU, and I just won't have the time probably to do all that, and it kind of takes a lot of time to do it by yourself. And so I'm like seriously considering putting up my tree in the middle of October. We'll see how that goes. We'll see if that ends up happening. That feels a little bit early even for me. But on the note of Christmas, I watched a trailer last night for a movie called Red One, and it has Chris Evans in it. Chris Evans and The Rock. And it's like an action movie about Santa Claus getting kidnapped or something. And so they like have to track down Santa Claus and go save him. And it looked so good. I'm like so excited for it because we haven't seen Chris Evans in a movie in a hot minute, and he's gorgeous and has not aged a day. And we just all deserve to see his face regularly. So I'm really excited about it. It looks really good. It looks really funny. It's from the creators who wrote Jumanji, so of course The Rock is in it. Nepotism. Yeah, I'm like so excited. It's coming out in November. So very, very exciting Christmas news. And I am so here for it. Anyways, I'm just really, really pumped, and I just love Christmas, and I love Kelly Clarkson. Okay. Speaking of movies, something that I've been asked about a lot and keep getting asked about is the Wicked movie. So Wicked is a musical. You should all already know this. Otherwise, I don't know why you listen to me. But just kidding. Everyone's welcome here. Wicked is the greatest musical ever written of all time. Suck it, Hamilton. That's what I say. But they're making a movie. Okay. And so I'm going to spend the rest of these 15 minutes or so sharing my thoughts, because I get asked about this a lot. I think I'm the resident like musician, voice teacher, theater nerd in a lot of people's lives. So here's the thing. The musical has very, very high standards and high expectations. Yeah. Put it in perspective. I've done a couple master classes with the music directors of that musical, and they said that for the big numbers, like the ending of Wizard and I and Defying Gravity and some of those, like if you want to change those ending notes, you have to get approval to change them, and you have to there's like only so many things you can do to change it, and they need to be pre-approved. Like you can't just go willy-nilly and Christina Aguilera it up. You know what I'm saying? Which, thank goodness, because the music speaks for itself. You don't need to do that. You know what I'm saying? And the general rule in musical theater, it's not a rule, but kind of what I was taught at least, and what I believe as well, is that you don't need to riff a lot in musical theater, which is why I'm not a very good riffer. Because in theater, typically everything you do needs to have, every choice you make needs to have a reason behind it. And you need to be able to say why you're making that choice. And it needs to be in line with the character, and it needs to make sense with the character. Yeah. And so if you're riffing, unless your character is not that kind of a character, you don't need to riff, and you probably shouldn't riff, because then it ends up going from you playing a character to you just showing off. You know what I mean? And that's something I often feel about Christina Aguilera sometimes, is that like she's just riffing just because she can, and there's no real reason for it, you know? Granted, it's her own songs, so, you know, Godspeed, do what you will, do what you want. And that's fine. But in theater, you're playing a character and you're helping tell a story. And so it doesn't make sense in a lot of cases to do that. So that's just a little bit of background as to like how it works in theater a little bit. And maybe that's changed since I took the master class. Like the last master class I took was like a couple years ago, I think. It's like a year or two ago. And so anyways, very, very high expectations for this show. And to be fair on that note, again, with the riffing and the money notes, is people have certain expectations, even non-theater nerds, even non-singers, like everybody has an expectation when they go into Wicked. And it's poor business planning and running to not live up to that expectation. You know, that's why any Disney musical you'll see will be a spectacle, because they're expecting the quote unquote Disney magic. You know what I mean? And it's just really stupid to not deliver what people are expecting within reason, right? And so Wicked is a spectacle, and the music is stunning. It speaks for itself, so you really don't need embellishment, because it's genuinely very well written, in my opinion. Excuse me. And so the problem that you have with anything like that is that you either carbon copy it, in which case maybe you just go see the musical instead. In which case the people who are directing this movie run the risk of not reaching that, or just doing a complete copy, which is it's not very impressive. Like, why would you need a movie if you're just going to copy exactly what the musical is, right? Or you have the opposite problem where they try and add things, or they try and spice it up, or they try to embellish, and then you piss off a lot of people. So it's a really, really fine line with this movie, because like everyone I know that's seen it has loved it. You know, they might not love it to the extent that I love it. Weird, but okay. But like, you can't deny that it's a grand musical. It's grand, and there are a lot of really great elements to it and things like that. And so it's a really, really narrow line to walk between just completely copying something that's already great, and that's just kind of lame, to trying to edge it up, or, you know, share a message or whatever, and then completely go in the wrong direction with it too. You know what I mean? Because you have to make, if you're going to change stuff, they need to be things that make sense, or things that like enhance the story. For example, I've never seen the Frozen musical. I really want to, but some of the music that they've added though kind of fills in some of the character gaps that Elsa has for me. So the music that they added and the things that they changed from the cartoon movie to the musical actually make a lot of sense and actually help enhance the story. And so those are kind of the choices that this director needs to make in order for any changes to work and to not piss off a lot of people. So I'm very, very skeptical of this movie. They also split it into 2 parts, which is really annoying because the whole show can be done in one sitting. I think it's like a 2.5 hour show, which is not terrible. That's like a movie pretty much. Plus you have an intermission, right? So I'm like really skeptical of that. I don't love the part 1, part 2 thing. Sometimes I get it if they're doing like a book to movie adaptation. Those actually don't bother me because books have so much detail on one page that like, if you want to get all of the really important details, like you can't just have one 6-hour movie. You know what I mean? You do kind of need to separate them, but like the original can be done in 2.5 hours. You know what I mean? So I'm like, okay, what are they doing? What are they adding? And are they gonna mess it up? So anyways, so very skeptical there. And then it also is a hard show musically. And what I love about Wicked is that the 2 lead leads are women, which this is not like a feminazi rant. This is the industry is saturated with women and most lead roles are men. And so that's just kind of frustrating. So it's really cool that the 2 main leads and not supporting leads are women. And so that's awesome. And then the vocal range is insane on both of them. Cynthia Erivo is the woman who's playing Elphaba. And she has been on Broadway. And the stuff that I've seen from her is really, really good. She has a really nice voice. What I heard in the trailer, I was not loving. Like, because they did a sound clip from her singing Defying Gravity, and it sounded way overproduced to me, and it actually made it sound less energized, and it just didn't sound like it sounds live, you know? And maybe that's a disappointment we're all gonna have to get used to, but it sounded way overproduced. And what I mean by that is that like someone in post just like compressed the crap out of it, added maybe too much reverb, or EQ'd it like a lot or something. I don't know. I don't do studio engineering. But every time I've seen it live though, that ending note sends chills through every cell in my body. And when I heard that at the end of the trailer that I saw, I was like, why was this anticlimactic? Because I don't think they lowered it. She did some kind of weird riffy thing that I was like, why? That's completely unnecessary. But yeah, wasn't impressed. And then I find it interesting that Ariana Grande is Glinda. And she's been on Broadway. A lot of people don't know that Ariana, like, she maybe didn't start on Broadway. I don't know her whole history, but like, she's been the original cast on at least one Broadway show that I know of. It's called 13 the Musical, and she's like an original voice on that soundtrack, and she kills it, but it's very, very belty. And so I don't know. And like, we didn't get to hear her singing voice a lot in the trailer. So I'm kind of skeptical of her role. Like, I'm happy for her. And she said in interviews, she's like, no, I've always wanted to be Glinda. Like, that's always been my dream. And I was like, oh, okay. But here's the thing. Kristen Chenoweth, who originated the role on Broadway, she's very classical. Like, I've seen her in concert just by herself. Like, it's Kristen Chenoweth's concert, and she's so classical. Like, even when she's doing her beltier stuff, it sounds very, sorry, my hair is just, these headphones sometimes get in the way if you're watching the video. Even her like belty voice is very classical sounding to me. And then the role is just high. Like, it's just very in her classical range and a little bit more legit musical theater style. And it's like, I don't think I've ever heard Ariana Grande sing that way. Not that she can't, because I think her voice is actually really amazing. I don't love what she's been doing recently, this like breathy thing. And I'm not talking about when she talks, because I know she talks different every day than she than her actual voice, because she like does it to save her voice and stuff. But like even her like albums and her songs, most recent songs that I've heard have been like really breathy and stuff like that. And I'm like, girl, you've got the power, you've got the resonance, like close those vocal folds, baby girl. And so I'm really skeptical of this movie. I do love Jeff Goldblum as the wizard though. I actually never would have seen that coming, and I never probably would have picked that myself, but that actually works a lot, especially because the wizard kind of gives me the same vibe as the wizard guy in Thor Ragnarok, which was also Jeff Goldblum, the guy in the like trash planet. And so that actually works really well. I hope that the guy from Bridgerton who's playing Fiyero, I don't know what his name is, I hope he can pull that off, because I hope he does a good job. Because if you mess up dancing through life, you're dead to me. So that's all there is to it. Same thing with like all of these songs. I'm like, you don't sing these unless you can do them and pull them off. I feel that way about Phantom of the Opera too. Like, you will never hear me singing Phantom of the Opera. In the public eye, I do practice those songs a lot, but because I feel like I don't do them justice, and I can't do that on principle. So yeah, my overall thoughts, I'm very skeptical of this whole movie. Again, there's a very high standard that you have to live up to. It's the same reason why I haven't watched the Avatar: The Last Airbender live action, because the cartoons were so freaking good that I'm like, you're probably not going to reach that standard. And I have not been impressed with the film industry as of late. Like, they're not doing the most. Like, I just feel like the quality of movies has just really gone down lately. Quality and script writing and image and just everything. Like, I just feel like it's all been lazy. But yeah, so I'm very skeptical. I'm worried about the two leads, because what I heard didn't sound great, didn't look great. I wasn't like in love with anything that I saw in the trailer. That being said, I hope that I'm wrong. I would love to walk out of that movie and be like, that was amazing. Sorry. Sorry, I'm so phlegmy. I would love to walk out of that movie and be like, wow, that was amazing. That was so much better than I was expecting. I don't think I will be, because again, like, as soon as the first chord plays in the live musical, I'm sobbing and fighting off chills. Like, it's so good. It's so good. And I feel like we're going to have another like Phantom of the Opera round 2 situation where people are going to have not seen it on stage first, or Les Mis as well. We're going to have like another Les Mis Phantom of the Opera problem where like people haven't seen it on stage first. And so then that movie is their first exposure to it, and then they're either going to be like, oh, that wasn't good, I don't like that show, or they're going to be like, oh my gosh, it was amazing, and then they go see it live and they'll be like, oh, I like the movie better. No, straight to jail. Okay, I don't think anyone likes the Les Mis movie. I've yet to hear anyone be like, wow, that movie really just hit me, because it really wasn't well done. But if you go see it on stage, it's life-changing, it's inspiring, all this stuff. Phantom of the Opera, I've only seen once. I do want to see it again at some point, but now it's off Broadway, so I don't know when that's gonna happen. But the version I saw in London, I wasn't in love with the actors. I wasn't super impressed, but the singing was still better. The singing was still light years better than Gerard Butler and Emmy Rossum. I also grew up listening to the original soundtrack, and no one beats them in my eyes. So, because they're actually technically really good, like technique-wise. So anyways, those are my thoughts about the Wicked movie. Everybody keeps asking me. I'm for sure gonna go see it, but I'm going in with extreme prejudice. And I feel like that's fair. because again, very, very high standard. And they like, that is not a show that you can just kind of fake it till you make it. Like, you got to be able to hit those notes, and you got to be able to hit them consistently and perfectly, like every night live. You know what I mean? And so for me, it's just going to be really, really hard for any movie to live up to that standard. Because it's like, it's a perfect musical. It's a perfect musical. I know some people disagree with that. I've heard like assessments about like, oh, the script needs work. Not in my eyes. Not in my eyes, it does not. So anyways, that's all I have for today. Those are my thoughts. I would love to be proven wrong. And I hope that I am, because that means that's 2 hours of my life that weren't wasted. I don't think I will be wrong, but time will tell. That comes out around Thanksgiving as well. So maybe I'll need to go see Wicked, and then depending on how good or bad that is, I might need to go see Chris Evans in Red One shortly thereafter to kind of cleanse the palate, if you will. I think Chris Evans is a good palate cleanser. You know what I mean? In everything. Oh, love him. Anyways, that's all I have for today. Like I said, nice, short, sweet. Had to share my trauma experience. And then also talk about Christmas, because we're less than 100 days away, baby. And I'm so excited. Okay. Hopefully I have a guest on next week. We'll see. I'm kind of working on some stuff. I'm kind of in a weird middle ground situation. But please continue to listen to the podcast, like, subscribe. You can also watch it on YouTube as well if you're a visual person. I did do my makeup just for you. And if I do say so myself, the eyebrows are eyebrowing. So if that's your vibe, I have them on all the platforms. So please like, subscribe. Comments also help. Ratings, reviews, things like that all help more people that see and listen and like and do all the things to the podcast, the more guests I can have on, and the more incentive it is to have bigger and bigger guests on and things like that. But we'll definitely have Addie back, because that was a hoot and a half. And then I'm thinking of having some of my other friends back. And so yeah, just a lot of fun things, and I will see you guys next week. Bye! Remember to tune in every Wednesday for Well-Rounded Wednesday, and please leave a rating and a review.